All right, so here we are. We're back, and we're going to continue to solve some problems here. This is from the 2021 Academic Challenge Regional Math Exam. We're going to solve problems 6 through 10. We did 1 through 5 on a previous video. So on question 6, we have, let's get this on the screen here. It says 5 years ago, Bob was twice as old as Sue was then, and then the difference of their ages is 25. How old is Bob now? Okay, so if we let B equal Bob now, and S equals Sue now. I have an Uncle Bob and Aunt Sue. How about that? Then let's see. 5 years ago, Bob was twice as old as Sue was now. So if you took Sue's age 5 years ago and multiplied it by 2, you'd have Bob's age 5 years ago. And then it says now the difference of their ages is 25. And so that means that if you took Bob minus 25, you would have Sue. And so from there, you solve it however fast you can solve it, right? And so some people would say, all right, well, this first one I could go B minus 5 equals 2S minus 10. And so B minus 2S equals negative 5. And then on this next one, you might even say, well, B minus S equals 25. And so we've got two equations here that we're able to maybe manipulate. And so if I write the first one down, B minus 2S equals negative 5, and then if I take the opposite of the second one, so the opposite of B plus S equals the opposite of 25, then you get that the opposite of S is negative 30, which is to say Sue is 30. Okay, if Sue is 30, then Bob is 55. Okay, so our answer there is E, 55. All right, let's see what the next question is. It says square A has sides of length S and square B has sides of length S squared. Now consider the area of the two squares. Which of the following is a possible percentage change in area? So if we have a square of side S, its area is S squared. And if we have a different square whose sides are S squared, okay, then its area is S to the fourth. Now remember, percent change is one way to write it is the new minus the old, or the original over the old. And so the new is S to the fourth, the old is S squared, and so we'll do this, and then we'll be able to simplify. S to the fourth over S squared is S squared, and then S squared over S squared is 1. And so the percent change, we could write it as S squared minus 1. And now we got to look at the choices there. Remember, it says which of the following is a possible percentage change in area. So let's just see. Happens to be on the next page here. And so basically the question is, there's the choices. Can I get S squared minus 1 to equal 0? Sure I can. S would then be 1. Can I get S squared minus 1 to equal 75% or 0.75? Sure, if I added 1, I would have numbers. And so like right now, if you're pretty sure of yourself, you can go ahead and say it's E, all of these, because we're pretty sure of A and B. But it's true that we could say S squared minus 1 equals negative 0.75 still has answers. And then S squared minus 1 equals 3 still has answers. So all of those would work. Okay, question 8. On question 8, it says the back window of a two-door sports car. The back window of a two-door sports car is a rectangle with semicircles on each of the sides. Okay, so let's draw that. So we've got a rectangle with semicircles on each of the sides. Okay. I haven't been saying this, but once you read the question, you might pause the video and solve it yourself, right? If you haven't already solved it, and then restart the video when you think you got an answer. So the window has a height of 2 feet. I'm going to draw that like this. Each of those is 1. And a width of 6 feet. So that's also 1. But this distance across the rectangle is 4 at its widest. And you want to trim the boundary of the window in gold. And so this part here is 4. That's part of the boundary. So 4 plus 4 plus, we've got 2 half circles. And so that's the circumference of a whole circle. So that's 2 pi times 1. And so this answer here is 8 plus 2 pi. And so that is choice C. Question 9 says, what's the area of a regular nonagon with apothem or apothem 8? Okay, if you have forgotten what the area of a regular polynomial is, the area of a regular polynomial is 1/2 times the apothem or the apothem times the perimeter. Okay, and then we've got a nonagon, meaning it has 1 side or 9 sides. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to draw that perfectly, but it's not bad actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so what they're saying here is the apothem is 8. Apothem is the center. Okay, center to the outside. Okay. Oh, that's not right, Darren. The apothem is the center to the midpoint. Okay, so I'll just draw that with a red pen maybe. Okay, and so, no, I had it right. Silly. Okay, and so that's the apothem. Now I'm second guessing myself. All right. So let's do this. So we've got a situation then where we've got to figure out, the length of each side because this P is for perimeter. And so let's just sort of look at one of these triangles. All right. Now, this whole angle that I'm pointing at is 40 degrees because 360 divided by 9 is 40. And so this is 40 degrees and this is 8. And we'd sure like to know how far it is from there to there. And so, as you can maybe imagine, it might behoove us to kind of break that triangle in half. And so this is 20 degrees and 8. Let's just call that x. And so then we can say that the tangent of 20, no, not the tangent, let's do the sine. I think I was right the first time. Hang on. 8 is this distance here. 8 is that distance, not that one. 8 is the distance from the center of the regular polygon to the midpoint of that side. And so that little triangle, 8x, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. So that's a 20-degree angle. And so the tangent of 20 degrees is x over 8. And so 8 tangent 20 is x. Okay. Now, so to get the answer, sorry about that. To get the answer, we would take 8 tangent 20. Let's make sure we're in degree mode. I am. 8 tangent 20, that's just x, okay, that's a little piece. So the perimeter, is that times 18. Remember x was just half of one of these triangles, okay, and the nonagon had 9 sides. I got glare. All right. So that's the perimeter. The apothem was 8 multiplied by 0.5. And you get 209.6. Oh my gosh, that's the answer. Sorry about the confusion on which side was the apothem, but it is certainly from the center of the regular polygon to the midpoint of one of the sides. Okay. All right, number 10, it says, upon receiving her monthly paycheck, Tricia immediately spends 20% of it on rent. Using what is left after rent, she spends 40% on that on other bills. Of the remaining after bills, she spends 25% of that on food. We can do this all with algebra if you want, but sometimes I think in these kinds of problems, it's just smart. Just say like 100. Like let's just think about $100. If she spent 20 of it on rent, okay, so we're gonna spend $20 on rent. And that means we would have $80 left. So keep that in mind. It says using what is left, she spends 40% on other bills. So she spends 40% of 80 on other bills. And so 40% of 80 is $32. Other bills. And then she says of the remaining, she spends 25% of that on food. Well, we have spent $52, and so we're going to spend 25% of 48. 100 minus 52 is 48. And so 25% of 48 is 12, and so that's on food. Okay. After that, she is left with $900 to spend on other things. What was her original check? Okay, so she spent 20 plus 32 plus 12. That's 64. 44 and 20 is 64. So she spent $64 on things, and so that means that she still has 36% of her paycheck left, right? And so $900 is 36% of her paycheck. And so if we took 900 and divided it by 36%, we are going to have our answer. And that's $2,500, which is, one of the choices. And so it's always nice after you do some math and you get one of the choices. And so the answer to number 10 is D as in dog. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, probably when you're doing these, just maybe look at the problem, try to solve it, and then listen to my explanation.